Hey there, hope you're doing well. It's April 18th. Today is tax filing deadline for 2022 taxes. And it's got me thinking about a number of things that I wanted to just take a minute to discuss. If you know me well, you know that before real estate, I was in the financial industry. I had all of my financial securities licenses, insurance licenses. I was working as an associate financial advisor, and what that means is I have that experience and that background and knowledge that is enough to drive me crazy when it gets into some of these financial matters, more detailed financial items. And with tax time, finances are always heavy on the mind. Are we invested correctly? My husband and I are going to be seeking early retirement at 55. So do we have enough after-tax investments as opposed to the pre-tax? And then it gets me thinking about the things that you talk about and that you're concerned about when it comes to home ownership, because there's a lot of financial matters that are involved in home ownership. If you're so fortunate to be have the option to pay cash versus the finance, you still have to weigh, are you in your working years? Is the mortgage interest that you're going to pay that allows you to still keep your money invested more beneficial to you during your working years because of the tax benefits of that expense? And so and that's just a few. That's just glazing the surface of the decisions that you have to make. And I want to share something that keeps rearing its head in our industry and for our team specifically that I think is really important. Things are constantly changing, and that's what makes some of these decisions that we have to make on a daily basis really challenging, because as the economy changes, as the market changes, as the kind of just the world that we live in changes, we have to adjust and adapt, and we have to know how to change our perspective on things. And there's a lot of things I find that people are not aware of, and it really it makes me realize how much more important the professionals that we align with are. So although I have financial background, I have financial advisors and accountants that help me to make sure my money's invested appropriately for my goals, to make sure I'm handling my taxes correctly. I am filing an extension, mind you. So if you're out there and you're saying, well, I didn't get my taxes done in time, that's okay. That's why we have extensions. But being able to navigate those things and make sure we are doing things appropriately, you need experts. So I want to tell you about a real estate scenario that I think is pretty significant, and that I think because of some of the changes in the real estate environment as of the last few years, actually becomes even more important to be aware of. My team, every year, we follow up with our buyers to make sure that they have filed for their homestead exemption. So if you follow us, you've heard us talk about this. Between January and March of every year, we're making sure everyone's aware, hey, you've got to do this. And don't forget about portability. So portability is what I want to talk to you about today. Portability is a great benefit if you have homestead exemption on your property. And what it does, the first function of portability is to save our homes tax limitation, where Florida does not allow more than a 3% increase in taxable assessed value year over year, regardless of how much the property values have increased. So it's capped at 3%. So that protects your taxes so that you're not paying exorbitant amount of taxes. And if you look at 2021, 2022, where we had 25, 30+% value appreciation on homes, that's huge. It's really significant. It could be the make or break of whether or not somebody can afford to live in their home any longer. I'll tell you a direct story about how this correlates, but what happens in addition to that? So now here we're enjoying this cap of 3% on changes in our property taxes. And then when it comes time to sell our home and take that equity out of the home and move to another home in Florida, guess what? We get to take our tax savings from the previous home and apply it to the new home. So, in many cases, and I'll use my case as an example, I've lived in my home for 18 years, so I've been in my home for a long time. When I look at my portability that I have on my property, it's $175,000. Now, to me, that's a big number. I'm like, hey, that's awesome. If I ever decide to move, I will continue to accrue that homestead savings, and I'll be able to take that with me because I will stay in Florida most likely. So, that number is not uncommon when we look at the tax roll of our customers. And if you don't elect to utilize portability, you are going to lose that benefit. So it's really significant, and I think a lot of people may have heard of it, but they don't totally understand what it is. I want to give you a practical example of where I was able to help a customer understand affordability because of applying the portability aspect to the taxes. So what we see right now, what we have going on right now is we have a lot of builders building homes. That's not a surprise to anyone. If you drive anywhere, you see houses going up all over the place, right? And so one of the challenges with whether it be brand new construction or a remodeled home, an investor home, is that those houses have not had the benefit of any sort of tax savings. So when you look at taxes on those houses, you're not looking at a realistic tax in the sense of they've increased in value, their values are closer to market value, so the taxation is a lot higher. I have a buyer who's looking at a home, not here in Citrus County, but in a neighboring county, and the taxes on that investment property were $3,500 a year, and she's used to, under $1,000 a year in taxes. And she said, well, the taxes make this house unaffordable for me. I love the house, but it's not going to work because of the taxes. So I pulled up the tax assessor's website, and I plugged in the numbers, and I pulled her portability over and plugged that in, and I gave her a tax estimate, and it cut the taxes in half. So because of the amount of portability that she was bringing forward, it was able to reduce the taxes on that home by 50%. Really significant. And then that home suddenly became affordable for her. So some of these things that if you're not aware of them, or you don't have the proper tools to estimate and to know what that actually looks like for your situation, can be the difference in you being able to make a decision to make an important move, or to buy the home you want, or many other things, because you don't have those tools or that knowledge. So that's where we really come in to play. And I think, what I always say is make sure you have trusted professionals on your side of the court that can help you navigate those decisions, that you can call upon at any time and say, hey, tell me what this looks like for me. If you're curious about your homestead tax savings, what your portability is, please feel free to reach out. We'd be happy to show you where you can find that information and kind of direct you to the right places to confirm what that looks like for you. If you're making a move, if you're buying and selling in Florida a homesteaded property, please do not forget to apply your homestead savings through portability. It is so important, and it is such a good value. And if you're coming from out of state, listen, we have great taxes here, so you probably were paying 2, 3, 4 times higher property taxes where you're moving from. And so don't worry, you're going to come to Florida and you're going to enjoy our taxes, and not having income taxes, and we've got a great structure here, so you'll be fine too. But if you live in Florida, please remember you have that benefit. If there's anything at all that we can do for you from a consulting or just a resource basis, please do not hesitate to call. I'm Ruth Squires with eXp Realty and RES Luxury Group, where we bring you white glove service and red carpet treatment, because your satisfaction is our guarantee. Give us a call at 352-794-1426. Have a great day.